Got the whole world in your hands. You got the whole wide world in your hands. You got.
Hello, here we are once again. This is Bharat from Palmistry Unplugged, and we're talking about the hotline. This is the third of a series of talks, and today we're going to look at the classification of the hotline, which is based on where it ends. Now, the hotline can end in 4 or 5 different places, and we'll be discussing each one. So when the hotline now, the first place it can end is in Saturn, under the Saturn finger, under the Saturn mouth. The next place it can end is actually in between the Saturn and the Jupiter finger, and it could end like below, more in the mouth area, and then or could end more up on the upper base, by the base of the fingers. The third way the hotline can end is in the mouth of Jupiter. The fourth way is actually it travels up from Saturn and ends at the base of the Jupiter finger. Another situation which luckily I don't see that often is when actually the whole hotline goes down and ends in the lifeline. And that's rare, and in fact I'm glad not to see that because it's a very inauspicious sign in a person's hand. Okay, so what are the most common hotlines? Well, I would say the first 3 are quite common, that where you'll see it ending in Saturn, you would see it ending in between the Jupiter and the Saturn finger, and you will also see it very often ending in the mouth of Jupiter. And when ending in the mouth of Jupiter is quite common. Ending at the base of the finger is not as common. Okay? So now let's talk about when the hotline ends under Saturn. And this is basically, you can say, is an incomplete hotline. It means, what it means is the person is very involved in relationship. They really want to have a relationship. They're really looking for the other. And in fact, if they're not in a relationship and they're not with the other, something feels wrong. Always feels wrong. Something feels missing. So they're always looking to be in a relationship. Okay? Now the thing is, though, with this hotline is that it's incomplete. It's basically, the emotional body needs to grow towards Jupiter. And when it doesn't, it remains in selfish love or passionate love. And it hasn't really developed into compassionate love. So a person that has a hotline that ends on the Saturn will have some issues. And one is they sometimes have problems to go deep in love. Now, if they find a partner who they trust, and that there is an intricate part of the relationship is based on sex, where they have a good sexual relationship with the person, then they can go deep in love. But this trusting the partner is very important. And if they lose the trust for whatever reason, and they can't regain it, then the relationship, they have to actually leave the relationship. And these people also sometimes have problems with being in touch with their love. Like, I know I love this bloke, but guy, because I'm saying bloke because I'm in Australia. I love this guy, but I don't feel it this week. So these are issues that people with the Saturn ending have, and it's almost 100%. Now, what differentiates them from the other lines is they're still in selfish love. Even when they're being compassionate or they're giving to people, which can very well happen, underneath, it's always because they want something. It's very rare that they're giving something unconditionally without wanting something in return. So it's always about, what do I get out of it? How can I benefit from it? So this is when it's incomplete in Saturn, these people need to develop more compassion in their lives. And very often that is happening. Where a situation that I do see is when a person has a hotline, usually it's a woman because they mostly working with women, they have a hotline that ends on Saturn, but they have a fully developed headline. So they're full on power, full on strength, full on dominance, or whatever. And they could mask their inconsistencies in the lack of development in the hotline, because they can just be a workaholic or work, or just kind of keep it under the carpet with everything they're doing. And these women, I do see that often when that imbalance is there. They're always complaining about finding a man and staying in relationship, having a good relationship. Yeah, I'm doing all this work and I'm successful in business, but not in relationship, or they keep having troubles. And normally this is the case with people that have this. So sometimes it's good not to be so strong. Because sometimes I see that the hotline, somebody will develop a headline from the left to the right hand that is not as strong, and this would be a situation to expose their vulnerability. So with these women, because it's mostly women, I see, it's good if they can somehow expose their vulnerability and allow it to happen, and allow their emotional center to grow. Okay, so now we're going to when the hotline now passes Saturn, and it stops between Saturn and Jupiter. And it also depends where it stops, because if it just stops like below the base of the fingers, I sort of see that as sort of a no man's land. It's not going this way and it's not going that way, and it's still to determine which way their emotional love, which way that love it wants to travel. Does it want to go into service? Does it want to go into meditation? Does it want to go into compassion? So that still has to be determined. But when that line does go near the base of the fingers of the Jupiter and Saturn finger, it does show they have now begun to come into compassionate love, and you will find them to be supportive in relationship. But these people are cool in love. They're not the ones that are going heads over heel, mushy-wushy in love. They're more cool, more relaxed. Well, relaxed, I don't know, but more cool in love. These are the type of people who like to do tantra, like look at each other and breathe for an hour. So they're this type of people. They're cool in love. But what it also means is when that hotline goes between Saturn and Jupiter, is that their love actually wants to go into themselves, and wants to go into their deeper core. It wants to go into what we call the self, into God, if that's what you want to call it. It wants to go into meditation, going into bringing it to themselves and going into deep knowledge and deep feelings, rather than being outward, going into service or going into what they're doing creatively and what they love. It's more just for themselves and their heart, in their being, and getting in touch with their true nature. So that is that. And I think now we'll continue and go on. When the hotline ends in the mount of Jupiter. So now Jupiter, what is the mount of Jupiter? It's about goals and ambitions. So when the love energy, when the emotional body ends in the mount of Jupiter, it means a person needs to infuse love into their goals and ambitions. So, and I see this a lot. It's a common situation. So 51% of what these people do, they need to love what they do. Or first of all, they need a profession, because they need to give love. And they're into compassionate love already. And they need to have this profession to give love. So if they're doing something that doesn't give a situation where they can exhibit their love, like for example, writing code for 12 hours and sitting in front of a computer, you're not really giving love, so that really wouldn't be the right profession for them. So also 51% of what they do is, of course, they need to be either doing what they love to be doing, and also they're giving love through it. And it also means they get like a special talent to give love. like, for example, I knew one German masseuse, and she, you know, when you met her on the street, she was weird, she was strange, you know. But when she got you on the table, the first time I had a session with her, I mean, there was so much love coming through her, which you don't see when you're meeting her on the street or having any interaction with her, you know. So that brought home that, you know, that love, that special talent. So people who have that, it's very good to be teacher or something like this, you know, where you have an opportunity to allow this love energy to come through you. So also now relationship, individual relationship, it gets on the back door, and what becomes more important is giving love, and the more that the person gives unconditional, the better. You know, giving love in their profession, because that's what will make them feel the best. So when they're feeling the best, or when they're feeling good with themselves, then that carries over to their personal relationships, and that's when they happen the best. So this is what I'm advising these people when they have the hotline like that. So what do you tell people that have a short hotline? You know, how to make your hotline better, you know. And I think we're going to do now, because I think we're talking a bit too long, I'm going to end this speech right now, or talk right now, and I will start the video again and come to the last segment of the talk on the hotline. Okay, so I'll see you later. This is Bharat signing off. Thank you.
Got the whole world in your hands, you got the whole wide world in your hands, you got the whole